Hello, and welcome back to Music Theater Sound Lab, where we talk about all facets of writing and producing great theater music like a music producer. Today I want to talk about the way that the English language interacts with Western music, specifically North American English, and how it's set to lyrics for American musical theater songs. Niche? Maybe. But this is really important, my friend, so let's dive right in. Just for clarity's sake, let's define a couple of terms. A stressed syllable, according to magoosh.com, is the part of a word that you say with greater emphasis than other syllables. Makes sense. Alternatively, an unstressed syllable is a part of a word that you say with less emphasis than the stressed syllables. However, you don't emphasize or de-emphasize syllables using volume. Instead, you use pitch, as represented in the difference between the words project or project. Project, stress on the first syllable, is a noun, meaning an individual or a collaborative enterprise that is carefully planned to achieve a particular aim. Project, stress on the second syllable, is a verb, meaning to estimate or forecast on the basis of present trends or data. Right away, the nuance here is wild. I like to call writing a musical the greatest puzzle of all, and this right here is part of that grand puzzle. So how do we take words which already require us to engage with pitch as part of determining their meaning, and then apply another consideration of pitch on top of that when we set them to rhythm and melody? And it gets deeper too, because that's just the natural stresses of each word in isolation. Once we start to apply meaning to strings of words, also known as phrases, things get even more complicated. Take this example. Where did she last see him? Where did she last see him? If we stress the where, the location matters most. Where did she last see him? We stress the did, the question matters itself after all. Where did she last see him? She is the one in question. Where did she last see him? The when matters most. Where did she last see him, as opposed to hear about him or talk to him on the phone? Where did she last see him implies perhaps a disdain or an incredulous focus on him. Wowee. So this can go a million different ways, and honestly, that's half the fun of it, right? Now, when we set a word or phrase to music in a way which works against these concepts, we create what's called a misaccent. We're stressing a syllable in an unintuitive way. For a single word, this might mean, for instance, setting our example, project, as in the noun, so that the musical stress falls on the second syllable and we accidentally end up with the verb project. Whoopsie! Or, in more extreme cases, if we stress a syllable musically which doesn't even arrive at another meaning, like we said material instead of material. Don't get me wrong, in pop music, this is much more forgivable and is pretty much just not a thing. Just ask Green Day how they justified singing "I am one of those melodramatic fools," which is what I thought it was for 15 years. The difference for us in theater, though, is that we want our lyrics to roll out like character-specific conversation, or as close to it as possible. And we also want our words to be ultra clear on the very first listen, so that our audience doesn't miss any pertinent information and can comfortably follow the story and the show. Now I want to find rhythms that feature the natural linguistic stresses of words. So let's ask our friend ChatGPT for some rando lyrics that we can set. And to do that, we'll dive into Logic Pro. Alrighty, let's look at these lyrics. In fields once lush, now cracked and dry, my crops once danced, now they barely sigh. I think that based on the structure of the phrasing, we don't have a lot of wiggle room if we're not going to change anything. So that's always my I love that, don't love that. They are all equal length. Here we are again. But again, we're working with ChatGPT here. If we were speaking to a collaborator who did this, or if we did this, we would just make those adjustments and we'd say, hold on now, a human person may not speak in these equal poetic phrase lengths, but perhaps he is a real romantic. And this takes place during like Homer and, this is a great epic. We don't know. One thing I would not want is just to shove these words into a melody that I just like and then end up with something like, in fields once lush, now cracked and dry. That's not even English anymore. In fields once lush, now cracked and dry. Okay, so that starts to feel more natural when I say it like a human would say it. So if I'm going to think about the emotional state of this farmer going through this supposed drought, let's make some notes here. He probably is scared, frustrated, probably frustrated first and foremost, depressed. Those are three strong ones of the moment. I also like to think in terms of a verb that the person is doing. So those are adjectives that describe how he feels. But what is a verb that's happening right now? Is he shouting? Is he pleading? Is he venting? In fields once lush, now cracked and dry, my crops once danced, now they barely sigh. Lamenting? Yeah? So let's put these verbs in a list below this. Who is he speaking to? To whom is he speaking? Well, we know nothing about this, so we're going to make it up. Let's say he was inside, he steps out into this giant open field and foolishly thinks maybe today is the day that things turn around and it rains and things go my way. But instead, he sees what it has been and he's so frustrated. In fields once lush, now cracked and dry, my crops once danced, now they barely sigh. Is he complaining? I think I still want to go with lamenting, but I think that I'm going to rescind my idea of him going out to an open field because it's always going to be stronger if he's singing to someone. Who is he singing to? To whom is he singing? Let's say someone usually buys corn from him. And they show up today to place their order for corn and there is just nothing. There is nothing around. So this farmer is embarrassed. His usual customer has nothing to buy because in fields once lush, now cracked and dry, my crops once danced, now they barely sigh. Now I want to set it to a melody that further reinforces the meaning, the character, and the natural stresses that we found these words to have. Let's try that. Hello, old friend. Alchemy. 70s analog synth lead, we know you well. All right, once again, I can't say that he's scared. I want to say more that he is embarrassed. Because once we put another person in the mix, suddenly the dynamic can change. So whereas he may just be frustrated on his own, if there's someone else there, suddenly we can add this layer of embarrassment that we didn't get before. So in fields once lush, now cracked and dry. This feels like a bit of a verse to me, like a vest, a verse, something at the top of a larger piece of music. So yeah, let's go down that road. In fields once lush, now cracked and dry, my crops once danced, now they barely sigh. Like he's kicking the dust around. In fields once lush, now cracked and dry, my crops once danced, now they barely sigh. We could do something with sigh that sounds more like a descending sigh, but I think I kind of like this note where it feels like an escalation of the emotion. So we're setting his melody, and as the stakes raise, the melody is raising in pitch as well. Let's record that melody. I wonder what the meter is. It could be da 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 4, or I could have it in 3. In fields once lush now. No, I think maybe it needs to be in 4. I suppose I could force it into 3, but we're going to go the natural route and say it's in 4. Let's record that. I feel like this would be kind of stretched out, especially if it's the first thing we hear in the song. We can afford to make it more rubato, more kind of free. Save that. Don't you love that horrific sound? What I like about using a terrible, terrible sound is that it's always going to be a million times better when you record a human voice. Also, the timbre of this instrument is so aggressive that it cuts through all of the natural, more organic instruments that I typically use. It highlights it in a really lovely, obnoxious way. I think we should harmonize this. I'm going to go ahead and harmonize this because that's what we do at Music Theater Sound Lab. We love harmony. Oh, I have a new sound today. What am I using? LA Custom, C7, natural. This feels like C sharp minor. Those are the chords. What is the piano actually playing? Interesting. Very short, very simple. So yes, but also I feel there's more like a churning to this. There's like again, he's frustrated. So this has been a long time coming. So while these chords are supportive of this contemplating feeling, I want to introduce some more tumult. Let's bring in a track alternative. So, new piano part. I feel like I want something really low-ended and really like churning. On that last chord, maybe I can create some version of a sigh by going higher in register. Okay, what if it starts with like a frenzy of frustration, but then he just goes, and he starts to sing. So that tumultuous feeling starts, but it doesn't last while he sings. I need like 2 measures of vamping. Ooh, like a call and response. So it's giving me Pippin. Is it giving you Pippin? That's a start. I'd have to quantize the heck out of that. I really messed up that rhythm. What if we were to sing it? Let's try to sing it. In fields once lush, now cracked and dry, my crops once danced, now they barely sigh. So we've harmonized our melody. Gorge. It is drama to 11 on a topic that we have invented for ourselves here today. Now, if I were the lyricist on this literal gift of a song and my composer needed a couple of lines with the same stresses as this, barring the potential need for variation after a number of repetitions of this, like if we kept singing this after a while, we'd kind of get tired of this. We'd want to switch it up. But so aside from that, I could follow my first 2 stanzas as a template, something like this. Let's type this in. This hellish sun, this cursed land, you've dug a grave where my feet now stand. So, in fields once lush, now cracked and dry, this hellish sun, this cursed land. Okay, stresses are the same. My crops once danced, now they barely sigh. You've dug a grave where my feet now stand. Da 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 da. Cool. Again, dramatic. Very dramatic, which is fine and great. I wonder what the piano might do under these lyrics. Maybe this is where we bring in our ostinato, or our would-be vamp. Barely sigh. Okay, so that was super messy, but I'm gonna just tidy it up and we'll just use that. Quantized party. Cool. Now let's sing the other part now that we have it. This hellish sun, this cursed land, you've dug a grave where my feet now stand. He's mad now. He's so mad. Our stresses are in place. We've harmonized for fun. Our melody supports our story, and that's what counts. So let's just do it. In fields once lush, now cracked and dry, my crops once danced, now they barely sigh. This hellish sun, this cursed land, you've dug a grave where my feet now stand. Oh, the drama is real. I think we did it. We set out what we did. We set out to do. We did what we set out to do. I guess that's it. So uplifting. It's got a good beat and you can dance to it. Anyway, I hope that any of that could be helpful to you. Feel free to chime in with any questions or perspectives in the comments below. And if you're not already part of the tribe, hit that subscribe button for more insights into the intersection of musical theater, music production, and songwriting. Bye-bye.